Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
That was Angelo Matthews and captain Dinesh Chandimal scoring centuries in the third and final test against India in New Delhi to give the Sri Lankans a fighting chance to salvage some pride in the series. A very good evening, I'm Shayan Silva.
And I'm Dasnia Thaver. Details on the third day's play follows later in the news. Now for a look at tonight's headlines.
Local government election will be held on or before 17th February. Estimated cost 4 billion rupees. Another fundamental rights petition filed at Supreme Court against delimitation gazette. Met Department warns fishermen to avoid setting out to sea for the next 2 days. Court of Appeal permits Kumaran Padmanathan to travel overseas.
A conference organized by UNESCO on ending impunity for crimes against journalists was held in Colombo today.
Previous regime ruled through a brutal campaign of fear, violence and intimidation and attacks on the media that sought to silence their views at all costs. Of course, some media supported them. Dissident voices were cracked down upon with absolute force. White van abductions, threats to people and their families and murders were the consequence of making a stand against the tyrants that held our country hostage. Causes of crimes against journalists were systematically not investigated. We have given people back their rights and we now have a free media, open inverted commas, close inverted commas. The destruction of evidence by the previous regime impacted court proceedings. But we have ensured that new proceedings are undertaken and proceedings for at least 5 of these murders are underway, inquiries, and further proceedings will follow. But we will go further and ensure that all cases of attack and harassment on journalists that have been raised are fully investigated. We will bring those responsible to justice. Now, when you look at this audience, there are 2 heads of organizations, both belonging to the government, and 1 editor from the non-government sector. They should be attacking us, saying you have not yet looked into the cases. I don't know whether they will put my speech today, because some of them did not fight or stand up for the journalists. They prevented them even coming for our meetings, but we are committed to it. They were more interested in keeping the Rajapaksa regime going. So today they would do anything to bring this government down, to bring Rajapaksa back, ensure they make their profits, and journalists will be gone back.
Not sure whether it has already been instituted, but we were looking at how we could bring in the legislation to be able to take evidence via video conferencing. In the Keith Noah case, if that comes through, I think we can make serious progress on the case. I'll just take a couple of more cases. I don't want to take too much time. Vijitha, Naligoda, for example, we are in a debate. The CID says they want to go the whole way. The AG says let's go with what we have now, where we can go for an indictment on a kidnap charge. We're in a debate. The CID feels that we might be able to go for a murder charge even where there has been precedents somewhere in the world in a case where you can go for a murder charge even without being able to find the body. CID has asked for a little more time, and we are playing, that's where it stands. The Lasantha Vikramatunga case is a complex case. We've come to a stage where we have to identify the users of 6 telephone numbers. We think we know the institution that use these telephone numbers. Few technicalities within our own agencies and environment, which we need to sort out. But we are committed to going through those steps.
You heard the views expressed by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. You heard the views expressed by Minister Sagar Ratnayaka. Well, the timing of these statements that are being made are very interesting. Joining me tonight is Faraz Shaukatli. Faraz, good evening.
Evening, Ramesh.
Faraz, to me, all this seems like a well-scripted drama. What do you think?
Absolutely correct. You've chosen the right words. This is a drama. And there are some principal, shall we call them actors or directors?
I would say directors.
Indeed. And here they are. But you better tell me who these
Sure.
people are.
People like Ranga Kalansurya, Nala Kunawadana, Toby Mendel from South Africa, and Sanjana Hattotua.
Right.
Now, interestingly for us, the NGO organization that Ranga Kalansurya is linked to, that is IMS, International Media Support, is one of the principal organizers of this event that you heard these stories from. Now, the question is,
Yeah.
when journalists were being attacked,
Yeah.
when media institutions like ours were being burnt down, did you hear any of these people speaking out?
I believe not so much as a whimper. That's the problem, you see, which leads me towards a belief that there is some agenda behind this, and that what could that agenda be after all? There is no war or whatever now, and so their agenda could only be to take advantage of what has happened to our fallen colleagues, our colleagues who were attacked, some who were killed, and others who were harassed no end. And like our friend and our colleague, Lasantha Wickrematunge was very much part of our network. He was killed while driving one of our cars in a high security zone. He was our friend. Where were these people when all these things happened to them?
Now, there is another interesting thing. Minister Sagar Ratnayake, we don't really see Minister Ratnayake in media briefings and other events, but today we saw him at this event.
He was there in all his glory,
yeah,
Ramesh.
and he was answering questions that were raised during a panel discussion as well.
That's
What
right.
do you make of this?
Well, I think they were, it was, like you said, it was part of a well-orchestrated drama. And they were, even there, however, they were clutching at straws. Because after all, they've been in power over 2.5 years, and they've been unable to say anything concrete about, let's say, Lasantha Wickrematunge's murder investigation. They said that they are in a discussion with another matter. What discussion? After 2.5 years, they spoke with great deal of sort of agony, put on agony about Lasantha's murder. But where has it all led? Apart from serving their own interests. These are the people, if remember, Ramesh, who wanted to bring in some sort of draconian piece of law,
Exactly.
In which we journalists would have been forced to disclose our sources. We would have been gone to jail.
Exactly.
And so on.
They could impose fines on us.
And they
as
could
well
have
if this
imposed
went
fines.
through.
This is what they plan to do. And it's a little bit rich, having this sort of drama going on.
So, how fair is it for these individuals to speak about impunity against journalists when their backgrounds, their past
If
is in this manner?
I may say so, Ramesh, they have got no iota of responsibility to talk about what happened to the media, or about this doing away with this impunity and so on. They've got no backbone to stand up for that. That should be left to the real journalists. We've earned our stripes, if I may say so, to talk about this, and we don't need others to talk to us about ethics. Instead, what they ought to be doing is they ought to be getting out of their air-conditioned rooms, out there into the villages, and experience and feel the pain and agony of the ordinary people of this country. That's what they should be doing, and they should be doing something about that, not appearing in some sort of drama in an air-conditioned hall.
Thank you, Faraz. Well, that's it from here. It's back to the news studio.
සියලු දෙනාට මම එක දෙයක් කියනවා. සියලු දෙනාට මම කියනවා බොහොම පැහැදිලිවම කොලේ ඉරාගෙන ඇඟේ හලා ගන්න එපා. කොලේ ඉරාගෙන ඇඟේ හලාගෙන
Don't regret after messing things up for yourself by your own actions. You won't be able to wash away the stink or stain no matter how hard you try. You need to clearly understand this. Think about the country, its people and the issues that they face. Don't think about power, don't follow personal agendas. We don't need people appearing before the media and trying to act tough. We need responsible leaders who love the country and the people. We need a group of people that act intelligently. This is what the country needs.
And with that, we go in for a short commercial break. Welcome back. We cross over once again to the newsroom to get an update on the weather forecast for the next couple of days.
The Newsfirst Center, where we are tracking the second low pressure system that is expected to affect Sri Lanka. As you can see, this low pressure system that is in the southeastern Bay of Bengal coming in from the Indonesian side is located about 1,300 kilometers away from the Sri Lankan coast. However, as you can see, the outer edges of this system are lining up along the country, so we can expect heavy rains caused due to the outer edges of this storm, which is currently 1,300 kilometers away from the coastal area. But now this low pressure system is expected to develop into a deep depression within the next 24 hours, and it will consistently move towards the island, but it will not be making direct landfall. Let's take a look at the prediction and the predictive model for this weather system over the next couple of days. As you can see, the outer edges of this system will be affecting the country. Let's see how it will look over the next couple of days. By the 5th of this month, the center of the storm will move closer to the country. By the 6th, we can see that the system will be clearly moving away. However, the outer edges will be still affecting the island, so you can expect heavy rains in the northern, eastern, north central, as well as some areas down in the east. So northern, north central and eastern provinces are expected to receive a considerable amount of rainfall due to this low pressure system that is about 1,300 kilometers away. That's it for now. We will have more as and when we receive the details.
Thank you, Ramesh. A media briefing was convened at the Ministry of Disaster Management in Colombo today.
By the 5th or the 6th, it will be quite far away from the island. It will be a lot farther away than the previous system, so we cannot expect a similar situation. But we need to remain vigilant about it, and we are making regular forecasts. The appropriate thing to do is to follow our forecasts and act accordingly. The fishing community needs to exercise caution over the next 4 days. I am asking the fishing community not to set out to sea on these days, especially on the 5th and 6th in the Bay of Bengal.
The fisheries community has been the worst affected by the storm.
A prayer was offered this morning seeking the safe return of the 4 fishermen aboard the multi-day trawler Senuri. The control room at the Fisheries Department noted that the vessel had suffered technical faults during the storm and had drifted towards India. The trawler Senuri had set out to sea on the 16th of November from the Negombo Fisheries Harbour. The Fisheries Control Centre for Valigama and Merissa is still attempting to establish contact with the missing fishing boats. Fishermen in the north and east refrained from setting out to sea today. The Fisheries Department control room says that over 20 boats have drifted towards India and the Maldives during the storm. The control room added that they are in constant contact with these vessels and that they have sought the support of the Indian and Maldivian Coast Guards. The Navy added that actions are being taken to rescue those on board the stranded vessels. 5 vessels were destroyed during the storm. Several low-lying areas including Malimbad and Athurulia are still inundated as a result of the Nilvala River breaking its banks. Our correspondent noted that transportation has been hampered in several areas. A section of a house in the Katukale area in Kandy was damaged when an earth embankment collapsed on it. Our correspondent reported an excess water flow from the scene of the landslide.
The forthcoming local government elections will cost over 4 billion rupees, according to the Elections Commission. Commission Chairman Mahinda Deshapriya announced the elections will be held on a single day on or before the 17th of February.
There is no definite regulation that we have to hold the election on a Saturday. Many have said that it should be held on a Saturday. There are time frames during which we can hold the election, having calculated the number of days. As such, we may think not to hold it on a Saturday. All of the political parties represented in Parliament have informed us that it will be a major cost to the economy if the election is held on a weekday. We are considering this. The Commission has not reached a definite decision. We are thinking about when we can hold it. It will be either on the 17th of February or a Sunday before then or another day which is not a public holiday. Some have said it will be on the 20th of January. Others have said it will be on the 27th of January. I wonder why no one has said the 3rd of February. Maybe because they are aware that the 4th is Independence Day and we will be unable to secure the police for election duties. Some have even mentioned the 10th of February as a possible date. If we are to have it on another day besides these 3 days, then it will have to be on a weekday. Some are saying that we are the ones who announced the election date. No one should believe that politicians can decide the date on which it will be held. They can only speculate. The minister and I do not think alike, do we? The minister's brain and my brain are separate. They are not linked together, are they? Therefore, I do not think the same. He is probably aware of this too. The Elections Commission and delimitation are two separate things. It's like a petrol engine and a diesel engine. There is no link. Nominations have not been postponed. Nominations for 93 authorities will be accepted from the 11th of December to noon on the 14th of December during office hours. Bonds must be deposited before noon on the 13th. The depositing of bonds for the other 248 authorities will commence today and will be accepted until noon on the 20th. Nomination applications will be held in 2 stages, but the elections will be held on the same day.
Application. Namud Chande
Desha Priya also commented on the cost of the local government elections.
Our estimated cost is 3.5 billion, but we made this calculation for an election to be held in 2017. Since it will be held in early 2018, the cost may increase to 4 billion. It will be difficult to hold elections for less than 4 billion because state official salaries will increase from the 1st of January, and this means overtime payments will increase too. This will result in an increase in the total cost. This is the largest single day of elections that will be held in the history of Sri Lanka.
Another fundamental rights petition challenging the Delimitations Gazette notification was filed before the Supreme Court today. The petition has been filed by Helapriya Darpan Nadaraja, a former member of the Ambagamua Pradeshiya Sabha.
Petition seeks the cancellation of the Delimitation Gazette notification issued on the 2nd of November by the Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government. The petitioner charges that the division of Ambagamua into 3 wards as per the Gazette is an obstacle to reconciliation. Accordingly, he claims that his fundamental rights and the rights of the residents of Ambagamua have been violated. The Supreme Court today ordered to postpone the hearing of the fundamental rights petition filed by the Executive Director of PAFREL, Rohan Hettiarachchi, to the 28th of February. Rohan Hettiarachchi had filed a petition requesting the local government elections to be held immediately.
We have faith in the Elections Commission. The Elections Commission has already set dates. We are hoping to hold the elections by February next year. However, the case was postponed to February. We are hoping to use this case if someone attempts to hinder the election process.
A public rally organized by the National Freedom Front is currently underway in Badulla.
The rally is being held at the Wilson Dyer Sports Ground under the auspices of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Several party leaders representing the joint opposition did not attend the rally. When Newsfirst made inquiries, parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena, the leader of the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna, said he will not be attending the rally. Parliamentarian Udaya Gammanpila also said he will not be attending the rally due to a personal commitment. Our correspondent said that parliamentarian Vimal Weerawansa, the leader of the National Freedom Front, did not attend the rally either. J Sikora, who recently defected from the National Freedom Front to the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, expressed the following views in Trincomalee today.
Why did Jayantha Vijay Sikora join President Maithripala Sirisena? For the past 2 months, I've been asking Vimal Weerawansa to include 23 members of the National Freedom Front to contest under the flower bud. For 2 months, I carried out a political struggle within the Politburo. And 6 days ago, I got angry with Vimal Veeravangsa and left the party. The next day, he called me and asked me to come to Mahinda Rajapaksa's house at 10 in the morning. And I went. At 10, I called him and said, I'm here. He said the meeting will be taken at 11:30. Then 12:30, but nothing. Then he said 2:30, but no discussion. Then he said 4:30, but no discussion. Then it became 5:36, but nothing. Then he said it would be at 7:30 and then 8, but nothing again. I got out after 8:30. Remember Vimal Veeravangsa, when I went to Maithripala Sirisena, I did not go asking for millions of rupees.
Basil Rajapaksa
Basil Rajapaksa, I have all the details of how you swindled, how you bought houses and how you lived in America. I have it all. Through your friends, you spread rumors that J Sikora is a traitor and that he has been bought over. We'll see. There are a list of 17 people who robbed in millions. Maithripala Sirisena showed me the 17 files. Mr. Mahinda, there are 16 people in that list who are involved in rape, murder and theft of millions. Do not try to play games.
Addressing a meeting in Bibile yesterday, Minister Vijitha commented on the talks that took place between the joint opposition and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
They've created a separate party and are contesting the election on their own with the intention of destroying this party. Who will take over once we resign? I'm just saying this as an example. If Lakshman Yapa Bewardena leaves the government, Mahinda Yapa Bewardena from that district will replace him and take oath as a cabinet minister. The moment I resign from this area, some bootlicker will replace me as a minister and suffer for the next 2 to 3 years. But we will not do that. Mahinda Rajapaksa was able to get into the streets as a prime ministerial candidate at the very least only because Maithripala Sirisena became president.
As mentioned in your headlines tonight, the Court of Appeal today granted permission for Kumaran Padmanathan alias KP to travel overseas. The order was issued dismissing a petition filed by JVP parliamentarian Vijitha Herath against KP, who was the one-time chief international arms procurer for the LTTE.
The parliamentarian had filed a petition seeking a writ mandamus compelling the Inspector General of Police to arrest him. However, the Court of Appeal dismissed the petition, stating that there was no legal basis to take it up before court. Through the petition, parliamentarian Vijitha Herath had also requested court to take legal action against Kumaran Padmanathan, who is alleged to have provided money for the LTTE under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Prevention of Terrorism Act and the Penal Code. Deputy Solicitor General Priyantha Navana pointed out before court that according to the report submitted by the IGP and the Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, Kumaran Padmanathan, the respondent to the petition is not connected to any of the crimes mentioned.
The National Health Research Symposium 2017, under the theme Promoting Research Culture by Sharing Evidence-Based Research, Best Practices and Innovations, was held in Colombo today. The event was organized by the Ministry of Health and Indigenous Medicine.
As our economy grows under this government, I want to ensure that we are investing into these services so that they are available to everyone. Let me be very clear that the health and well-being of our people is a priority for this government. We will not stand idly while people suffer as they did in earlier times. Since we came to government, public spending on healthcare is up as much as by 55%.
The 10th ICANN conference began in Colombo this morning. The Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation and the Civil Aviation Authority of Sri Lanka is spearheading the conference in conjunction with all other state organizations involved in travel and tourism.
The conference, which will be held until the 8th of this month, saw the participation of representatives of more than 75 states and will bring in around 500 delegates.
I am proud to state Sri Lanka has strived her best for the effective implementation of the ICAO standards and recommended practices on both aviation safety and security, and our levels of effective implementation is in both areas are over 85%. But of course, with a tremendous cost and expense to us, sometimes which is unbearable. We have already announced full open sky policy in respect of a recently opened Mattala International Airport, where foreign airlines are allowed to exercise all 9 freedom of their air without restrictions.
Now I understand the aviation policy is going to be further liberalized. We are currently having 2 million tourists coming in comfortably per annum. Last year, our paid per day spent of a tourist was $164. This year, our target was 210, but we are coming very close to the 200 mark. I am aware that the monopolistic situations of the services required at our airports, this is not bringing the desired effects to encourage airlines to operate into our country. Monopoly on ground handling, monopoly on fuel, monopoly on catering, all these are areas that will discourage airlines' operation into this country. If the airlines don't operate to this country, our dream of making Sri Lanka's #1 foreign exchange earner tourism for the benefit of the 21 million people of this country will not be possible.
Making the illustrated headlines tonight is our resident cartoonist Asangala Doheti. The full interview with Indian cricketer Yuvraj Singh will be telecast soon on TV1.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dasnia Thaver.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.